say this about NIL. NIL can bless you and your family. But one of the things that hurts most people, what is the scripture about the love of money? The root of all evil. And many of us don't really know because we haven't been educated ourselves. And we don't know how to help our kids structure the little bit of money they get. If there's no money, how do you structure things? How do you go get it? So we have somebody here, Shaun Taylor, who's going to speak to you guys on financial management, give you a little insight on things. Shaun?
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. You know, we've been sitting a long time. I need everybody to stand up just for a minute. Come on, stand up, everybody. We've been sitting a long time. Stretch. Stretch. Stretch it out. Stretch it out. Stretch it out. Stretch it out. Get that blood going a little bit. We've been sitting a long time. Now, here's what I want you to do. Look around the room. Do a 360. Look around the room. I know a lot of people have left. Elementary kids left, but look around the room. Look to your neighbor. 1 out of every 10 people in this room has no generational wealth either being passed to them or preparing to pass on to the next generation. And we all are talking about wealth and wealth management. Think about that. That's 90% of this room. 90% of this room is either not going to receive any kind of inheritance for generational wealth to create economic freedom, or we're not preparing for the coming generations to receive any economic freedom. I want to start the conversation off with that. We can go ahead and sit down, because when we talk about financial planning, wealth management, generational wealth, it's a lot of great buzzwords, ladies and gentlemen, but how do you actually do that? And I really am blessed to be on the stage with these colleagues, because they have hit on some extremely important aspects. The first thing that I want to bring to the table is the business of sports, is what we're talking about. It is a trillion, not a billion, it is a $1 trillion business that you're about to get into, or you're wanting to get into. So I want to take a look at it from a business perspective. Fundamentals of money management. My name is Shaun Taylor. I run a wealth management firm, Taylor Williams Private Wealth Management. I've been in the business 18 years. I've worked with Merrill Lynch, New York Life. I was part of a $50 billion economic initiative with New York Life as pertaining to life insurance and creating generational wealth through the contract of life insurance across the country. The last 4 years I've spent in the 401k space doing workshops on how to narrow the retirement wealth gap, how to narrow the generational wealth gap, and how to maximize your investments, whether it's in the 401k or outside of the 401k. How often do we hear of an athlete? 3 to 5 years is the life shelf, or the shelf life. All of a sudden they have everything in the world, and then within 5 to 7 years, guess what happens? Say it again?
Broke.
They're broke. How often have we heard of an athlete with $600 million, $50 million, $25 million, and they're filing for bankruptcy? But they got a team of folks all around them, agents, managers, advisors. How does that happen? Because they're not following the fundamentals. You see, wealthy people operate very differently. When they get an infusion of capital, the first thing they do is think about how to build another asset. They think generationally. The average person, when you get a lick, guess what happens? You spending money. And I'm guilty of it. I come from a small town in Arizona. Yes, I did play sports. But back in my day, it was football season, you played football. If it was basketball season, you played basketball. If it was track and baseball, guess what? You either played track and baseball or both, and then in the summertime, you got out the house and did something. Played semi-pro football up in New England from 2000, about 2003, New England Stars. So I love sports, and I play competitive golf now. So I'm always going to be an athlete. And I love this conversation because this NIL is in fact a game changer if you look at it from the proper perspective. So today I want to spend a few minutes and share a perspective with you. And the first perspective is, I've already said, it's a business, ladies and gentlemen. So take out your pens and your paper, and I want you to write down. If you are running a business, do you have your business plan? I don't care if you're in 6th grade. I don't care if you're in 9th grade. If you're talking about this NIL and all the opportunities, have you written down your business plan? What is your intention, ladies and gentlemen? And that's to the parents too. Y'all need to get in that table, in that living room, and start to ask the question, if we're going to build this business, what are our goals? What are we looking to accomplish? What is our intention? We want to have the business plan in place, and part of the business plan is what? The financial plan. Because now all of a sudden, if I do have the opportunity to get some NIL money in high school now, that can be life-changing. If I get it in college, that can absolutely be life-changing. But we know that it's not equal ground. Not everybody gets an equal share. So what are you going to do with your share? And that's where your financial plan is critical. So that's where I want you to start when you go home this weekend. I want you to really start to write that business plan and that financial plan down. If I get the infusion of capital, what am I going to do with it? What's the first step that I'm going to do? Is it spend? Yeah, I want to buy mom a house, I get that. But what happens, 30 years from now, if I don't pay cash for the house, can I still afford the mortgage? What if I hurt my ankle or my knee, and all of a sudden, that money goes away? That's the risk. And that's a real risk of injury. So in my practice, we're always talking about mitigation of risk, elements that we cannot control, that can harm us in a particular way, which means it disrupts my income stream. In this case, if I'm running a business, my income stream is coming from my sport and coming from me playing and coming from these deals. But what can take that away? And if it does get taken away, have I over-levered myself in all these expenses that now I can't afford? Property tax for that house. That doesn't go away. It keeps coming. The maintenance, the lawn, all that stuff we have to think about when we start to have these expenditures. So once I get the infusion of capital, what's the first thing I probably should do? I should probably open up an account and name it taxes. Because guess who's coming? The IRS, Uncle Sam. He always, if I go into Vegas, he always gonna win. He gonna get his share. So if I get that $1 million or 100,000, whatever that number is, I need to get with either my advisor, my CPA, my agent, or a combination of the team and say, okay, what tax bracket am I in now? I'm 17 years old. I don't know nothing about no tax bracket. But if you're going to run a business, you better. Because that's how you lose that capital. If you can go to my next slide. The next one, I can't introduce myself. That's me and my golf. I love me some golf. Start to think like a CEO. If you're going to build this brand, you talked about the character, you talked about your social media, but I want to attack it from, if you are building a business, how would you build it? If you're Exxon or Shell or Google or Apple, you're not going to put yourself in any position that will create compromise for you, are you? Everything that you're going to do is going to be quite strategic, isn't it? You're building a brand. You're building an image. Name, image, likeness. In hopes that some company will like you because they think you can help sell their product. It's a business. And it's a life-changing business if you operate in the proper way. And then the other piece is academics. The real competition, ladies and gentlemen, is not on the field. It's the academic competition. And the question is, are you putting as much work on your academics as you are on the field? I would argue probably not. And to Coach's point, that eliminates a lot of great players from getting to these particular schools because their SATs and their GPAs don't qualify. I don't ever want to see that happen to anybody in this room. So if you're going to build a business, here's what I need you to start to do, even as early as elementary, middle school, and high school. There are going to be classes, economics. There are going to be classes, accounting. There are going to be classes that wrap around investments. Learn your craft. There will be electives, but take them. Why? Because once you get to the room with agents, with coaches, you want to know how to handle your money. How often have we seen a person not do that? Oh, my team handles that. They looked up 3-4 years later, and guess what? It gone. How'd that happen? It's your money. It's your capital. We need to understand how to manage it. So those would be the things. Is the academic competition is, to me, even more important than the athletic competition. Because if I hurt a knee, I hurt an ankle, guess what? Those opportunities might be gone. But what can I control? I can control my mind, can I? I can control my academics. I can get into Harvard, Penn, Stanford, Yale, Howard, Morehouse, Spelman, because I had the academic pedigree to qualify myself to get into those schools. And then on top of that, guess what? I can ball out. Versus the ball out first, then the academics. Because I can always fall back on my academics and go into business for myself. Next slide. So think like a CEO is one of the things I wanted to point out. Financial planning is not just for the wealthy. It's even more important for those of us that are in that middle space. Some check to check, some of us are month to month, some of us are year to year. Most advisors aren't talking to us because we don't fit their particular criteria. I don't have $250,000 of investable assets, Shaun, so ain't nobody ever talked to me about life insurance, my 401k. If my son or daughter does get NIL money, what's the first move? I don't understand that stuff. So financial planning, if you are going to move in this direction, have that conversation. There are 7 steps to a planning process. It is a process. So if anybody comes to you and they don't even know the first thing about you, but they're going to try to sell you something, boy, you better run for the hills. And to the pro athletes in here, everybody's coming at you. Sharks in the waters. Everybody got a good deal. Come spend your money over here. And how often have we seen those deals go bust? In the venture capital world, right, which is we're gambling that this business is going to take off, they lose more than they win. But we hear the big win, so it's exciting, right? I want to get on that IPO. I want to get on that deal. Wealthy people don't chase money, do they? They position their capital. Let me say that one more time. Wealthy people don't chase returns. They don't chase the opportunity. They position their capital. Warren Buffett is one of the most successful investors this world has seen. And he will tell you, without any blinking of an eye, I do not invest in anything that I do not understand.
Very good. That's some good stuff right there. And that's funny, some of the things that he was saying about the financial management and studying and education, academics, and you know, I think about quite a few things. One, parents have challenged the kids about their social media and studying their craft. Now I'm going to challenge you.